The Valari refugee convoy drifted through the empty space between stars. Their engines were dying. Their shields were failing. Commander Thera stood on the bridge of her damaged vessel, watching the scanner with tired eyes. Behind her ship floated 47 transport vessels. Each one carried thousands of her people, children, mothers, the old and the sick. They were all that remained of the Valari civilization. 3 weeks ago, the Kreth Dominion had invaded their home world. The Kreth were conquerors. They moved from system to system, destroying everything in their path. They did not negotiate. They did not take prisoners. They simply killed. The Valari had tried to fight back, but their weapons were designed for defense. They were a peaceful species. They had believed that the galaxy was a place of reason and cooperation. They had been wrong. Thyra's hands trembled as she reviewed the damage reports. The convoy had jumped through 6 different star systems trying to escape. Each time, the Kreth had found them. Each time, they had lost more ships. Now they were stranded in an uncharted region of space. Their jump drives needed repairs that required materials they did not have. Their food supplies would last perhaps 10 more days. Their water recyclers were operating at half capacity. "Commander," her sensor officer called out. His voice was hollow with fear. "I am detecting Kreth signatures. 12 warships. They are closing fast." Thera closed her eyes. This was the end. She had known it would come. She had simply hoped to buy her people more time. Perhaps enough time for some of them to escape. But there would be no escape now. The Kreth had found them again, and this time there was nowhere left to run. She opened a channel to the entire convoy. "This is Commander Thera. The enemy has found us. I want all civilian vessels to scatter, run in different directions. Perhaps some of you will survive." Her voice broke slightly. "It has been my honor to serve you." The responses came flooding back. Captains refusing to abandon each other. Families saying goodbye. Prayers being whispered to gods who seemed very far away. Thyra listened to it all, and her heart shattered into 1,000 pieces. The Kreth fleet appeared on the visual display. 12 massive warships, each one bristling with weapons. They moved in perfect formation, like predators surrounding wounded prey. The lead ship began charging its main cannon. That single weapon could destroy 3 of Thyra's vessels in one shot. "Commander," the sensor officer said again. His voice sounded strange now. Not fearful anymore, but confused. "I am detecting another signature. Something is approaching from the far side of the system." "More Kreth?" Thyra asked. "No, this signature is different. I have never seen anything like it." He adjusted his instruments. "It is moving very fast. Faster than anything in our records." Thyra turned to look at the display. A single point of light was racing toward them from the darkness between stars. It moved with impossible speed, crossing distances that should have taken hours in mere seconds. As it grew closer, the sensors began to identify its shape. It was a warship. But it was unlike any warship Thyra had ever seen. It was massive, larger even than the Kreth vessels. Its hull was covered in strange angular plating that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. Along its sides were rows of weapon systems that Thyra could not identify. The ship looked like it had been built for one purpose only: war. "What is that thing?" someone whispered. The unknown vessel did not slow down as it approached. It flew directly toward the Kreth formation, showing no fear whatsoever. The Kreth ships turned their weapons toward this new threat. Warning signals were broadcast on all frequencies. The stranger ignored them completely. Then the unknown ship opened fire. Thyra had seen weapons fire before. She had watched her own fleet fight against the Kreth, but she had never seen anything like this. Beams of blinding white light shot from the stranger's weapon arrays, each being struck with surgical precision. The first Kreth warship exploded in a ball of flame. Then the second, then the third. The Kreth formation scattered, trying to return fire. Their weapons struck the stranger's hull, but the strange angular plating seemed to absorb the energy. The damage was minimal. The stranger kept firing. 5 Kreth ships destroyed. 6. 7. The remaining Kreth vessels turned and fled. They activated their jump drives, desperate to escape this nightmare. The stranger let them go. It did not pursue. Instead, it turned slowly toward the Valari convoy. Thyra felt a new kind of fear growing inside her. This ship had just destroyed half of a Kreth battle fleet in less than 2 minutes. If it was hostile, her convoy would not last even that long. The communication system crackled to life. A voice spoke through the speakers. It was speaking in the universal translation language that all spacefaring species used. Valari convoy, this is the UHS Defiance. Registry number 774, representing the United Human Systems. We received your distress beacon. Do you require assistance? Human. Thera searched her memory. She had heard stories about humans. They were a young species from a small world on the far side of the galaxy. They had only achieved faster than light travel a few centuries ago. According to the records, they were considered primitive and unimportant. The major powers of the galaxy had ignored them completely. Looking at the warship floating before her, Thyra realized that the records were very, very wrong. This is Commander Thyra of the Valari refugee convoy, she responded. We are fleeing from Kreth aggression. Our ships are damaged. Our supplies are low. We have 47,000 civilians aboard our vessels. There was a pause. Then the human voice spoke again. Understood, Commander. We are dispatching repair teams and medical personnel. We are also transferring emergency supplies from our cargo holds. Please lower your shields to allow our shuttles to dock. Thyra hesitated. Could this be a trap? But what choice did she have? Her people were dying anyway. We are lowering shields, she said. Over the next several hours, Thyra watched in amazement as human shuttles moved between the convoy ships. Human engineers, wearing strange sealed suits, worked on damaged systems. Human doctors treated the wounded and the sick. Human workers distributed food and water that tasted strange but filled empty stomachs. The captain of the Defiance came aboard Thyra's vessel personally. He was a tall creature with pale skin and dark hair. His eyes were a strange color that Thyra had never seen before in any species. He walked with the confident stride of someone who was used to command. Captain Marcus Webb. He introduced himself. I apologize for the delay in our arrival. We were patrolling the border zone when we intercepted your distress signal. It took us some time to reach your location. You have nothing to apologize for, Thyra said. You saved my people. We owe you a debt that can never be repaid. Captain Webb shook his head. No debt is owed. Helping those in need is simply the right thing to do. Any human would have done the same. Thyra studied him carefully. The records say that humans are a minor species, that you have no significant military capability. The records appear to be incorrect. A small smile crossed the captain's face. We prefer it that way. The galaxy has many powerful empires. Many of them are aggressive and dangerous. We learned early in our history that showing weakness invites attack, so we stayed quiet. We built our ships in secret. We developed our technology away from watching eyes. The other powers thought we were primitive, so they left us alone. And now? And now the Kreth Dominion has been expanding toward our territory. They have destroyed 17 civilizations in the past decade. We have decided that we can no longer remain hidden. His expression hardened. The Kreth will not threaten another innocent species if we have anything to say about it. Thyra felt something she had not felt in weeks. Hope. Real hope. What will happen to my people? We are prepared to offer your convoy sanctuary in human space. We have colony worlds with room for refugees. Your people will be given land, resources, and protection. You can rebuild your civilization in peace. Tears began streaming down Thyra's face. She had prepared herself for death. She had accepted that her species would be wiped from existence. And now this stranger, this human, was offering them a future. Why? She asked. Why would you help us? We have nothing to offer you. We are refugees with no home, no wealth, no power. Captain Webb looked at her with those strange eyes. My species has a long history, he said quietly. We have known war and suffering. We have seen evil triumph over good. We have watched innocent people die while others stood by and did nothing. We swore that we would never be the ones who stood by. When we see someone in need, we help. That is simply who we are. He reached out and placed his hand on Thura's shoulder. The gesture was strangely comforting. You are not alone anymore, Commander. Humanity stands with you. Over the following days, the convoy was escorted into human space. Thura saw things that amazed her. Human stations the size of small moons. Human fleets with hundreds of warships. Human worlds covered in cities that sparkled with light. These were not the primitives that the galaxy believed them to be. These were a civilization that had been hiding its true strength for centuries. The Valari refugees were welcomed warmly. They were given a beautiful green world to call their own. Human advisors helped them build new homes and establish new farms. Human teachers helped their children learn. Human doctors healed the last of their wounded. Thyra often stood on the balcony of her new home and looked up at the stars. Sometimes she would see human warships passing overhead, patrolling the borders, keeping watch. She knew that somewhere out there, the Kreth were still conquering and destroying, but they would never touch her people again. The galaxy had believed that humans were weak. The galaxy had believed that humans did not matter. The galaxy had been very, very wrong. From the darkness between stars, humanity had emerged, not as conquerors or destroyers, but as protectors. They asked for nothing in return. They expected no reward. They simply saw suffering and chose to end it. Thura smiled as she watched the stars. Hope had been lost. Her people had been doomed. And then a human warship had appeared from the dark. Everything had changed. The Valari would remember. They would tell stories to their children and their children's children. They would speak of the day when all seemed lost, when death was certain, when the universe itself seemed cruel and uncaring. And they would speak of the humans who came from nowhere and saved them all. In time, other species would learn the truth about humanity. Other refugees would find safety in human space. Other victims would be rescued by human ships. The galaxy would slowly come to understand that the quiet species from the small world was something special, something rare, something that the universe desperately needed. Heroes, not because they sought glory or power, not because they wanted to rule over others, but simply because they believed that helping others was the right thing to do. In a galaxy filled with empires and dominions and ancient powers, humanity stood apart. They chose kindness over cruelty. They chose protection over conquest. And when hope was lost, they appeared from the dark to light the way forward.